So pretty. Oh, hello there. You seem to have caught me enjoying my Masters of the Universe Masterverse #1 variant cover by Sergio Aragonés. Hi, my name is Darren, these are my hands, and today I've really got Solo by DC Comics for us to take a look at. Again, I've got to give a big thanks to viewer of the channel, Loran, for sending this along a few weeks ago. And while I've seen the cover of Sergio Aragonés Solo many times, I've never actually had the opportunity to take a good look inside of it up until now, and I just want to share some of it with you today. So, what is DC Comics Solo? It was a bi-monthly comic book series that was published between 2004 and 2006. In all, there were 7 issues published, and each issue featured a comic creator who was given complete creative freedom to show off their work in any manner that they chose, often genres that they wouldn't be normally producing. And DC Comics gave the creators free use of all the DC characters to include in these solo books. In 2006, DC's Solo won the Eisner Award for Best Anthology. Now, I said that there were 12 issues. We're extra lucky to have a Sergio comic here. Sergio Aragonés is published in issue number 11 in August of 2006, one issue before the last issue came out and the series was canceled. Many of the creators who were slated to be published in Solo, they had already started their work, but it never got published. So, very thankful to have Sergio's work showing up in Solo before the magazine got cut. Let's take a quick look at the back of the magazine here. Here we see on the back of the comic some sketches that Sergio put together. Presumably these are ideas that he was working on for the cover. We see some prior workings of the gag here with Sergio wearing his samurai outfit, stabbing the balloon, the S balloon in the logo of Solo. Sergio with his pencil and a katana, and Rufferto hiding behind. Maybe Sergio as a Western outlaw, blowing the ink off the end of his pen. And look at this over here. Is this perhaps an alternate idea for a cover where Sergio is just sitting at his artboard and those 4 circles are the circles of the Solo logo? It's really neat to see some of his sketch work here and then to see how it turns out on the cover. Inside the front cover, we've got some more sketches, and this is pretty neat because of all the stories that Sergio tells within this volume. We've got Sergio at various ages here. Sergio as a young boy reading his comics in Mexico, Sergio as a young man in university studying to be an architect, studying mime, doing the high diving routine, Sergio moving to New York and selling his comics to Mad Magazine, Sergio, the actor appearing in the movies, and then contemporary Sergio, the artist, hanging out in his shorts as we're used to seeing him these years. And it's also nice to read this up here, the definition of Sergio Aragonés: a world-famous comic book and strip creator and artist, an actor, a mime. Rubin, Eisner, Harvey, La Plumiella de Plata, and Shazam Award recipient, widely regarded as the nicest guy in comics. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm just going to read all 48 pages of this comic to you, show you all the pictures. There's actually so much stuff in here that has given me ideas for other videos. I've just got to skip over a whole bunch of the comics, but I think we're going to focus on maybe 4 or 5 of them, take a closer look. But we're going to be looking for Groo, and we're going to be looking for other things that are hidden in these comics as well. We're going to take an overview, but just focusing on a few stories. Down here at the bottom, we see that all stories are written by Sergio Aragonés except for the Batman story, written by Mark Evanier. Stan Sakai did the letters. Tom Luth and Lee Lowridge did the colors. Mark Chiarello was the editor, and Tom Palmer Jr., the associate editor. Oh, let's take a look right here. even before we get to the comics, just another page showing off Sergio's sketchwork, preparing to draw some of his comics. You know the guy is a pro. He gets the uniforms right, and he practices, and he gets the details right down. It's so neat to see these kind of pre-working sketches that Sergio uses, probably drawing based off some models so that he has his own work to base his comics off of. Like, take a look at this thing. This guy's wearing a hat with this crest on it, but he wants to make sure that he gets the eagles and cannons right. So he's got a even more detailed doodle of it here. I say doodle, but, that's way better than I could doodle anything. But look at the jacket with the buttons and the folds and the epaulets. Really neat stuff. This guy's got a cool hat up here. We've got the different uniforms of the different armies. What a neat look at the behind-the-scenes work of Sergio Aragonés. So, here we have a one-page introduction. Sergio's done this on many of his comics, and I just think that it's a neat tradition that he keeps going here. Please pardon my Canadian pronunciation of these Spanish words. Bienvenidos, amigos, to my issue of Solo. It is always a pleasure to tell you stories, some true, some fictional, but it is a great pleasure to do it as a freelancer from your own studio. No office hassles. Okay, let's not go any further before we notice Groo the Wanderer up in the corner here. First panel, Groo the Wanderer. First panel, wearing his Did I Err t-shirt. Good stuff. Thank you for including that, Sergio. Another little doggy back there. Is that like a second Rufferto? And of course, his own Rufferto kind of looks just a little bit different than we see Rufferto in Groo stories, right? So maybe he draws his own puppy in just his own little way. Oh, it's just wonderful stuff. Alfred E. Newman over here. We're going to see all sorts of little hidden things, and I'm not going to be able to point them all out. Anyway, he's so happy to be working from home. No dreadful commute. Able to eat homemade lunches and not having to get dressed or shaved. Being able to take breaks any time you like. Check out that ship. That is so awesome. And look, there's Astro Boy. Nap if you're tired or see your ring ring. Oh, excuse me. And check out that phone. Never mind who's on the phone, check out that phone. You know that this guy is serious about his drawing when he includes a telephone like that in his office. Not only is he being true to his environment, but he's taken the time to draw those details. Oh, it's just so great. Anyway, Sergio says, "Oh, hi Mark. The deadline? Of course, it's almost ready." And then we see Sergio working away into the night. Chin, let's see. I work all night, then I'll work 12 hours tomorrow. No, better, 14 hours. Then I'll just have to work 10 hours on Wednesday. Then I'll have 10 pages more. Oh no, I'll have to start Mad Marginals on Wednesday, and the CAPS meeting is on Thursday, but I've also got to do all these other things, and etc., etc., etc. Ah, it's wonderful, and it's just neat to see Sergio in his environment. I don't know if I can say I love his short shorts and the fact that his belly button is showing, but it makes me laugh. All right, so I Killed Marty Feldman. This is a biographical story. Look, there's Sergio as a young man diving off the diving board. I'm not going to read this one to you right now because I have other ideas that I'm going to be using this for. Okay, wait. I would be remiss not to point out Chacal and Thais. Of course, Chacal and Thais are Sergio's wife, Charlene, and his daughter, Christiane. But it's just neat to see them in the comic. You know, the first time that I saw a drawing that Sergio did where he was lying in bed with Chacal, it wasn't this one, it was another one. And I was thinking, man, that's kind of weird. Sergio drawing himself in bed with Chacal there. And then I learned that, hey, he based Chacal off of his wife and Princess Thais off of his daughter. Super cute. All right. Here's a story that we'll take a little bit closer look at. It's called The Edge. And I was wondering if perhaps Lee Lawridge was the colorer of this particular comic, only because it's got a different feel than, at least to me, than like this introductory biography story. The colors are a little bit more muted. Maybe that he's using a slightly different palette than the type of palettes I'm used to seeing Tom use. Tom is a very bright colorist. I don't know, maybe I know nothing and I'm just making things up. But I wonder if Lee colored this one. And there's another comic that we'll look at a little bit later that I'm wondering if Lee colored. Anyway, the story, The Edge, about this little boy, Isaac, who witnessed his first gunfight as a little boy living in the wild west of America. And then he became obsessed with reading stories about gunfighters, and he wanted to be a gunfighter when he grew up, the fastest gun in town. Even as a young man, he kept it up, shooting his guns and practicing to become super fast. Almost got himself in trouble a number of times, and the people around town warned him, "You better be careful, kid. Eventually, you're going to make a fatal mistake." He had a sweetheart. Her name was Sarah. Sarah did not like the fact that Isaac was always practicing his quick draw. And then one day, a desperado rides into town. It's John Fulton. Look at the notches on his gun handle. He's the fastest. And John walks into the establishment that Sarah works at. Oh no, she thinks, I hope Isaac doesn't find out that this guy's in town. But from out on the street, Isaac calls, "John Fulton, they say you're fast, but you're in for a surprise. I'm calling you out." And Sarah says, "Oh no, Isaac won't stand a chance. He needs an edge." And she thinks, I can help him by spilling hot coffee on this outlaw's hand. I'm sorry, it was an accident." So out into the street comes the gunfighter after he bandages up his hand. And Isaac says, "Come out, John Fulton, I'm waiting to show you who's the fastest. Today's your last day as the fastest gun around. Full blam!" And John Fulton shoots Isaac, dead. And from inside, Sarah hears the men saying, "He didn't have a chance. Too fast. That burned hand." Is she holding out hope? Unfortunately, that burned hand didn't even slow him down. Fulton is left-handed. Tragedy. Oh, not only do I find this story remarkable for its use of color, but the way that the story is told, the tragic end. Something that Sergio often does in his stories is add those plot twists to those tragic endings, that almost dark humor, although this wasn't a particularly humorous story, that sometimes edges on the macabre. I think we'll see that again in this book. I'm skipping over this next story here because it's another somewhat biographical story of Sergio's. Look, there's his daughter again. There's Rufferto. But I wanted to take a look at this one with you, Beauty and the Choosy Beast, because it reminds me of a comic we looked at in Scott Shaw's Wild Animals a few weeks ago. A short story by Sergio Aragonés, which is kind of like a King Kong origins story, especially the ending here with the drums, ta-tum, 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 and King Kong arriving to retrieve the sacrifice here. It's a story that we all know the ending to. In some ways, it's quite familiar to Beauty and the Choosy Beast. We have the sacrifice being set up. We hear thump, 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 thump. Are those drums? Is it the beast arriving? Here comes the mighty Kong, the gorilla, takes the woman away, eyes her up, drops her down. Hang on for a second, I'll be right back. Would you mind wearing this gorilla costume? Bit of a twist on the ending there. And here's another story. Oh, it looks absolutely beautiful. We're not going to go into it because I have other ideas for it. But I just want you to quickly notice the coloring on it. Again, it's a radically different palette than the palettes we're used to seeing Tom Luth color with. And I'm wondering if maybe Lee Lawridge is the colorist for this comic as well. Oh, you've got to take some time to look at this panel down here. It's absolutely beautiful. It's that trademark Sergio detail. So many warriors fighting in battle, so much detail, the beautiful costumes, and of course the lovely coloring that's going on here. It's a really, really nice looking story, this one. And I look forward to sharing it with you later on. And then, It's Always Hard at the Beginning, On My First Thoughts in New York. It's another biographical Sergio story that I'm going to skip over for now, but doesn't it look great? Here's one that we can look at. The Lucky Snitch, a pantomime comic. Here's the Snitch being brought into the mob hideout. You know, this is like that typical 60s, 70s kind of thing. It's time to sleep with the fishes, pal, so he's pouring the cement boots for the fella. They take him out to the pier. They dump him in the ocean. He's not coming up, and away they go. But after they're gone, up he comes out of the water, catching his breath. Joke's on you, it's low tide, he's safe. Wait a second. Sharks. Again, we see Sergio's dark humor, his plot twists, his tragic endings. Tragic endings that often end in death. I guess that's the definition of the word macabre right there. Finally, I think we'll look quickly at a Batman story written by Mark Evanier. This is an example of Sergio taking advantage of a DC character, Batman created by Bob Kane, to draw in this solo comic book. The bad guy is the plumber and his gang, and they are robbing the Gotham Museum of Priceless Plumbing Supplies, but the intent was for Batman to find them. Now, okay, this is what I love about the plumber's gang. They all have plumber's crack showing. I know it's stupid, but it's funny. Anyway, it's part of the plumber's plan to have Batman show up and find them. While he's busy fighting with his goons, the plumber sticks a tracking device on the Batmobile. Taking advantage of Batman being distracted, the plumber empties this fire hydrant on him, and they make their escape. And Batman returns home in the Batmobile with the tracking device on it. But Batman is thinking, man, this is another crook who's not afraid of me. Something's wrong with my approach. Maybe I'm not scary enough. He makes it home, notices what looks like a movie being shot at his house, into the secret back entrance, down into the Batcave. And he talks to Alfred, who explains that they're filming a Batman movie at Wayne Manor. Around the corner, he overhears the director speaking to the actor portraying Batman. He says, now in this scene, you capture the inner rage within Batman, the psychotic drive that would make a man dress as a bat and prowl the streets. And Bruce Wayne, Batman here, says, psychotic drive? Is that how people see me? The director continues, you want to destroy the Joker here, but you know that in doing so you will destroy yourself because you are just as nutty as he is. And Bruce Wayne listens. Be violent, Phil. Break his back or something. Maybe Batman is scary enough. Maybe he's too scary. Meanwhile, the plumber and his gang arrive at the secret tunnel leading to the Batcave. Down they go. Hey, look it. It's Groo the Wanderer and Rufferto. Under glass? Very strange. They await to ambush him. Meanwhile, upstairs, Bruce Wayne is talking to the actor, finding out that people really do see Batman as violent and psychotic, but they like it. They think violence is beautiful. And Bruce Wayne, he thinks this can't be right. Not only are criminals not afraid of me, normal people think I'm off my rocker and violent. I have one big image problem. The actor heads downstairs, is ambushed by the plumber and his gang who think that he's the real Batman. Bruce Wayne sees what's going on and thinks he might be able to turn turning off the lights, he takes care of the crooks. We found the crooks outside, tied up, and the actor dazed. It was all a movie set. And we thought we found Batman's hideout. Nice going, cesspool for brains. Batman's a lot smarter than we thought. Phil, what saved you? Beats me, but I've been thinking, what if we took a little different approach to Batman? Somehow, I don't find violence all that cool. And you know, I kind of like the conclusion that Sergio comes to in this strip. Despite the tragic endings, he's right. Violence isn't all that cool. Comic violence like Groo might be, though. And at the back of this solo comic book, we've got a nice biography. And I'm not sure who wrote it. Maybe Mark Evanier wrote it for him, or maybe Mark Chiarello, the overseer of the solo comic books, wrote it. Anyway, not a lot new for us, but some nice things to say. Sergio, born in 1937 in Castellon, Spain, relocated to Mexico during the Spanish Civil War, received his education there, studying architecture and learning pantomime under the direction of Alexandro Jodorowsky. But his great love has always been cartooning, and at age 17, his comics were being published in a wide array of Mexican magazines. In 1962, deciding to try his luck in America, he arrived in New York. At first, work was slow, but he soon approached that top market for silly pictures, Mad magazine. Sergio's first contribution appeared in Mad number 76, cover dated 1963, and he has since appeared in every issue except one due to a post office screw-up. He has also produced 16 best-selling original Mad paperback books. In the early 80s, Sergio teamed with wordsmith Mark Evanier to create the adventures of Groo the Wanderer, which has become one of the longest-running creator-owned comic books. Together, Sergio and Mark have also produced Fanboy, Boogeyman, Mangor, Magnor, Blair Witch, and an acclaimed series in which they trash famous characters. Sergio Aragonés destroys DC, Sergio Aragonés massacres Marvel, and Sergio Aragonés stomps Star Wars. Sergio has also soloed with 2 all-pantomime series, Action Speak and Louder Than Words. The bio also mentions his work as an actor and his artwork and cartoons that accompany hundreds of advertisements and editorial features, and that his animation has been featured on numerous TV shows. He lives and works in Ojai, California. So this is Solo, issue number 11, featuring the work of Sergio Aragonés. Like I said, lots more videos coming. Click this video to check some of them out. Please click over here to subscribe and do all the other good things. And if you prefer to take things solo, the algorithm thinks you should watch this video next. Take care, everyone.